So, time for another one of our many mod videos. I'd like to thank everybody that supports this channel and YouTube memberships and Patreon. We couldn't do all this stuff without you. I'd like to thank everybody that helped us stick around through all of our hard times in the past year. It means a lot to me. Sorry, I'm kind of sick today, but I wanted you guys to know I appreciate all of you a lot, and it really does mean the world to me and the rest of the team. So I wanted to thank you guys. But today's theme: mods that can radically change up how you play the game. It might seem a bit vague given how Rimworld is, but once we get started, this vibe will pretty obvious. Yes. So as I always say, kick back, relax, maybe make sure your melee expert is happy, but don't want him to go berserk when Randy sends a drop pod raid, and enjoy this vid. Yes. Starting off, Winston Waves. Yeah, this storyteller radically changes how the game is played, thanks for turning it from colony survival to roguelike defense. At a set number of days, changeable in the mod options of course, you will get raids of increasing size, and even qualities. If you survived, then you get to choose from a variety of options, kind of like loot crates. It's pretty straightforward, and your gameplay will focus mostly on survival and building. Any advice? Well, if I were to give some advice, first, if you're going to research, focus on medical, drugs, weapons, and defenses. You are going to want to keep your pawns in fighting shape, so being able to tend to their wounds they will get, or to keep them fighting at a moment's notice, can be a godsend. Yeah, you're probably gonna die anyways, but you know, you could try. Other advice, I recommend downloading the Alpha Prefab mod, mostly because it is designed to work with Winston Waves, and you might get lucky and get a prefab that provides better defenses, or at least a nice dining room. Eventually, you are going to get overrun. If you are aiming for an ending, the spaceship one is the best bet, since it would theoretically be the fastest way to win Rimworld, though with how much you are going to get assaulted, certainly easier said than done. Good luck, soldier. Continue to hold the line. Now let's take that roguelike gameplay and add a bit of RTS gameplay. VE Insectoids 2 brings the ability to create insectoid nests that make insectoids who, get this, do work automatically. Seriously, it's now possible to just build and let the game practically play itself. For a lot of the stuff, which might be good when this mod also comes with their own take on wave-based survival, this time themed after Starship Troopers, waves and waves of insects will raid you, and it's up to you to hold the line. What rewards do you get from storyteller Han Helldiver? Simple research. This time, when you complete an assault, you get a random completed research you have access to, meaning instead of keeping some pawns on research, you can focus instead on combat and building a good way to mix things up. Though given you will be hunted by bugs, I recommend again, lots and lots of turrets. Just pray they don't, how to go through the ceiling, because that'd be bad if they came through the ceiling. My recommendations: good variety of insectoids if you plan to play with those mods, of both defensive and offensive, and plenty of workers if you want to keep things up or home. Yep. As for weaponry, anything with some armor penetration is gonna be extremely useful, as the bigger bugs have bigger armor. Maybe also make friends with the Empire. Nice to call them for some fire support. Their weapons have lots of penetration. Save Our Ship 2 turns this colony simulator into a spaceship simulator. I don't even need to say any more, because the mod speaks for itself with an impressive set of mechanics and new build options. I mean, this is a top tier mod, not just for this list, but in general. Start already in space, or perhaps build up from the ground to the sky and see what new people you can find in space, be it friendly or unfriendly or even mysterious. On the subject of mysterious, you will die the first time you try, of course, so don't get discouraged when the not Borg collective kicks your teeth in. There really isn't much advice I can give that isn't already obvious. Make sure to balance your power use, have proper heat and life support systems, and for the love of Randy, do not put anything behind engines when on the ground, unless you plan to use that as the most impractical cremation oven. That, or maybe pay attention to the wiki that is linked on the mod page. No shame in having to browse that one for information. I know I had to when I first played with it, and I still don't know what half the stuff does, except the guns. I know what they do. From the deepest void of space to the humble hamlets of the Rim, we have Medieval Overhaul, a classic mod that is beloved by many fans, and for good reason. Taking the technology of the Rim to medieval level, you have to deal with having to focus on the day-to-day troubles of serfdom. What do I mean by this? Well, say if you chop a tree. Yeah, those logs need to be prepared, hunt an animal and butcher it. Great, now you got fat meat and bones, and the pelts can't be used for leather since you need a to prep them. Yep. See, everything is expanded upon. Yes, you can have an overpowered medieval society, but it's gonna take a while. And just because it's medieval doesn't mean there isn't a bit of magic in the air. Sometimes the trees will walk. Serpents will arrive to devour, and may Randy help you if you are in the sights of a hungry deer. Yeah, it's quite a mod. All coming from the mod dev's desire to expand on the medieval and tribal era of Rimworld. For that, I respect them for it. Work hard, find friends, good research, heck, maybe a bit of treasure in lost ruins. And maybe you could be the next great nation. Or, you know, maybe suddenly be destroyed by a huge army of ne'er-do-wells and end up having your ruins picked apart by the next generation, just like you did the previous. On the subject of ruins, the ancient urban ruins might be a contender for the best mod of 2024 with its ambition. Seriously, this mod makes me want to do a nomadic playthrough, just looting ruins and using what I can find there to stay alive. As implied, the game now provides new sets of urban-styled ruins that can be explored, from construction sites to huge malls. And when I say huge, I mean it is multi-floored. You heard me. This is one of the first mods in a long time since the ambitious Z levels mod to incorporate multiple levels. And this one does it pretty darn well, including new mechanics to permit raiders to actually go down multiple levels, or to allow your pawns to go up and down levels without direct input. I don't even know how people figure out how to do this, but I'm glad they are smart enough to do it to keep raising the bar. So what can you find in ruins? Weapons, armor, medicine, and lots of sellables? Seriously, you are going to need either mods for bigger carrying capacity, or vehicles, or some kind to carry all the swag you are gonna find. To find these locations, either get an alert to some ruins, or find within ruins of traders maps to these areas to explore. Just remember, you aren't the only one to be looking for treasure in trouble, so stay safe out there. Highly recommended for more nomadic or scavenger-styled playthroughs, and I hope to see more from this dev team. Like I said, raising the bar. Very good stuff. Congratulations, guys, on your amazing mod. This is really, it's amazing. Thank you. From me and the whole Noobert team, this mod's wild. Thank you. Of course, if you are looking to make the game a bit more intense and hardcore, Kyle 5000 has that for you, giving not only raiders better AI, but also a fog of war. Oh yeah. It's going to become a much more difficult combat zone with the fog of war, turning what could be simple excursions into enemy territory, into delving into no man's land. Then with raiders now being more intelligent, they react faster to changes, avoid taking paths in your pawn's line of sight, find cover better, oh yeah, destroy your kill boxes. If you try and funnel them through to a dangerous area, they won't just blindly walk to their doom. They will destroy your stuff. So yeah, have fun with that. 10 out of 10 would get pwned by smart raiders again. It actually is a well-made mod that makes combat feel a bit more intense and tactical, having you take advantage of what you can see, what you can use, and adapt to a bigger raider threat, though there are ways to make gameplay a bit more intense. Yayo Combat 3 continued, a mod that makes combat even more intense by making armor and armor piercing more important, not to mention including ammo. Now why this and not say Combat Extended? Well, while Combat Extended is a top tier mod in its own right, it's a bit too ambitious for its own good since it doesn't always play nice with other mods. Yayo Combat meanwhile works with just about every modded weapon using a more generic system, so not everything will be specific. So if you combine this mod with the Fog of War, suddenly you are going to be picking and choosing your fights a little better. After all, if you waste bullets for your super powerful weapons, well, I don't think there is a throw the empty gun option at the raiders, though that would be hilarious. I would do it. Yes. Should also mention that accuracy is more closely tied to sharpshooter skills, and armor now works by deflecting most attacks unless that attack has a bigger armor piercing, or if the armor durability begins to hit certain thresholds. So yeah, make sure your pawns aren't wearing torn up bulletproof vests. Actually, fun fact, bulletproof vests only really work for the first shot. After that, the fibers within the vest rapidly lose their ability to block kinetic force. And there's your fact of the day. Comment down below if you knew or didn't know this bit of information. Project Rim Factory, an older mod, but one that has been revived and taken care of. Don't know what it is? Well, ever seen Factorio? You've seen Rim Factory. If you like seeing machinery build up and automate all your tasks, then yeah, this might be the mod for you. Seriously, looking at it, it's a pretty complicated looking mod, but hey, like putting up internal wiring or making a solar farm, it's easy once you know the instructions. Joking aside, there are a lot to look into, but the basics are take machine, conveyor, whatever material needs to go to another, and repeat. If you want a more simplistic mod that does all this, then VE Factions Mechanoids do have their own factories, but I feel while they are easier to understand and work with, they are a lot more limited, and for the factory experience, you gotta use the Rim Factory mod. Plus, the mod has mods, and even a list of suggested mods to make your experience even better. So get your hard hats, make sure spies aren't in the base, and get to making the perfect automated base. Before there was vanilla expanded sidecasting, there was the Rimworld of Magic, a mod that permitted your pawns to unleash godly might upon lesser mortals. That or raise the dead and make it Halloween all year round. Yeah, this mod is still classic after all these years, and turning your campaign into a fantasy RPG with these magical powers can be fun. Throw it in with medieval overhaul or tribal only playthrough and work on using magic to offset your limitations. Highly recommended even after the release of vanilla expanded sidecasting. For this next one, we look back to vanilla expanded, this time a double feature, VE Empires and Deserters, both of which expand upon the royalty DLC in a big way. Needless to say, it does radically change up your gameplay in a big way. With Empire, you get more access to royal aid, a new way to win the game, not to mention fancy furniture to show off to your neighbors who may or may not have something to say about your sudden status. Meanwhile, Deserters is the opposite side of the conflict, with you taking charge of a rebel cell and bit by bit working to topple the royal empire. Least in this area, you will go on covert missions, use intel to your advantage, and of course pull an Ubisoft and kill a franchise. I mean Noble. Yeah, it's gonna be wild, just don't think the Empire will take this lying down. The more you keep poking the bear, the more it will bite back, to the point they can and will unleash the hand of God on your base. It's at that point I recommend maybe taking a vacation or 2 or 3. Which one do I recommend? Honestly, both are great. I would recommend playing with both, along with Imperial functionality mod that lets you use Imperial equipment, including the super powerful shields that the Empire has at the end of the Deserter quest line. Vanilla Expanded Christmas, a mod that, as of writing, is an Advent-styled expansion of holiday joy. Be it food, gear, and events, you got lots of ways to make your playthrough feel warm and fuzzy inside. How does this radically change your game? It brings holiday joy to everyone. I feel like that has to do something. Seriously though, it does have some mechanics like building up favor through participating in holiday goodness like drinking, eggnog, eating borscht, to even doing events like caroling or putting up a good Christmas tree. This favor later will be what gauges what gifts the storyteller seasonal Santa will provide you, and good gifts can be really good for bringing in the cheer. And while as of writing we don't know everything that has been released, we know that anyone looking for a warm playthrough will enjoy this. Plus you could play with it during the summer for a Christmas in July thing, you know, have second Christmas if you know you're non-peace. So 10 plus a nice bonus of mods that can radically change the game or playthrough. Might give me some new ideas for Let's Plays or streams. Pretty sure I inspired a few other people.